Hello everyone, all my excellencies out there. Welcome back to the channel. Sammy here. If you're new, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell so you don't miss a video. So today we're going to be looking at printing your work. Printing your work in Excel. Now printing in Excel is not just straightforward, so to say. So there's some technicality to it. So very important for us to go through this so that you'll be able to know how to print properly in Excel, so that whenever you want to print, it's what you want, how you want it to come out, that actually comes out that way. So without further ado, let's dive in, take a look at what we're doing today. Now, if your worksheet is fairly small, clicking print on the standard toolbar will send the worksheet to the printer using the default settings. So let's assume what we are printing is fairly small, say a page or less than a page. So just clicking on the print command to send our work to the printer based on the default settings. Okay, so default settings, so must have set, let's say we want it to be A4. Okay, and then other parameters, we want it to print out in portrait, landscape, whatever. Okay, then you can just send it to print. That is that. Now there's more to printing in Excel and just that. On the other hand, to print a single region, one selection of your data, you need to define print area in Excel. Okay, so to print a single region, let's assume I just want to print out just this portion. I'm selecting. I just make a small selection now. So let's assume I just want to print out just this section from my database, from my data set. Okay, so to do that, I need to go to page layout tab. Okay, I make my selection first, and I go to the page layout tab, and I see in the page setup group, I see print area. So first of all, you need to define print area or set a print area, as you see here. So I come now and I click on set print area, and then you can now go ahead to print. Now if I go to print, okay, you can see that it's just that portion that I selected by showing here in my print preview. You can see set print area. It was just what I defined, just that print area I defined. I will show my print preview, and that means whatever shows in print preview, okay, that's what's going to print out. So when you're done printing, you need to go and clear that print area. Okay, otherwise subsequently, if you send for print, it's going to be printing just that portion. So to clear the print area, I go back to my page layout tab, then my page setup group, I go back to set print area, and I click clear print area. So click print area, it's now cleared. So then you can now go ahead to print whatever else I want to print. So that is that. Now let's look at some other things in printing. Like I said earlier on, printing is not just fairly straightforward in Excel. So there are a lot of things we need to do before we can actually send our work out for printing in Excel. This now leads us to controlling your print options. Now, maybe the closest associate to the print command is page setup. In Excel, the closest associate to the print command is page setup. So we need to look at a few things in the page setup dialog box that will actually help us control our print options. This dialog box allows you to control the paper size and orientation. You want to print in portrait or landscape, size of margins. Okay, you want to specify margins. You can also do that in the page setup dialog box. You can also specify custom header and footer that will print on all pages. Okay. Now, in Excel, you open page setup dialog box by clicking the dialog box launchers in the page layout tab. By clicking the dialog box launchers in the page layout tab. Okay. Now, when we come over to page layout tab, if I look at my page setup group, I have the dialog box launcher. Okay, well, first I've been following our previous lessons. By now, you must have been conversant with dialog box launchers. Okay, so in some groups while working in Excel, I have dialog box launchers. Okay, so if I look at my page setup group now, I have that little object there. Okay, that's dialog box launcher for page setup group. If I look at the scale to fit, I have a dialog box launcher also. And if I look at the sheet options, I also have a dialog box launcher there. So the dialog box launcher, just when you click on it, it gives you further options, further features, further commands that couldn't actually be fitted within the ribbon, so to say. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so the page layout tab, the dialog box launcher in the page setup, scale to fit, and sheet options group can all display the page setup dialog box, but a different tab. Okay, so for example, if I click this, you can see it actually brings up the page setup dialog box, but it launches the page tab in the page setup dialog box. Okay, you can see that we have 4 tabs: page, margins, header, footer, and then sheet in the page setup dialog box. Okay, if I close this, I click the dialog box launcher in the scale to fit group. Okay, it also launches the dialog box launch page setup dialog box, but it launches the page tab. If I come here now and I click on my sheet options, okay, I see that yes, it launches my page setup dialog box, but it launches the sheet tab. So now click the appropriate tab, find an option. From there, you can click print preview to see how the options actually affect the printout. Now the sheet tab actually contains a few interesting features. Okay, so let's look at some features in the sheet tab to see a few interesting features that we can actually look out for there. So the sheet tab contains a few interesting features. For example, use the print title section to specify rows in the worksheet to print at the top of each page. You can also specify one or more columns that will print at the left of each page. Now, let's just close this for a second, and then let's take a closer look at our data set here now. Now, looking at our data set, you can see that my data set here in my worksheet is fairly large. Okay, it's fairly large. Now, if I scroll scroll, okay, you can see it goes all the way to column U. Then if I scroll down also, you can actually see that it goes all the way down to row 116. Okay, now if I take a look at it, let's switch over to our page layout tab that we can actually understand what's going on here. Okay, so looking at my page layout tab here, you can see that what I have here now, yeah, is actually column wise. You can see my work covers like 3 pages. Okay, then I scroll down, you can see that it also continues down. Okay, that way. Now let's take a look at what we want to actually talk about now. Looking at what I have here in my data set, if I look to the left of the first sheet, okay, now I have day 1, day 2, day 3. These are references. Okay, I'm looking at the next page here. You can see that those references do not appear. Now that's a problem. If I scroll down also to the next pages down, you can see that this test 1, test 2, okay, does not appear when I go down here. Now that actually poses a level of difficulty. Okay, so much so that when I have this printed out in hard copy, it will be actually a bit difficult for me to actually trace what value actually falls to corresponds with any of these values here. Okay? So let's say, for example, when I come to this page here now, I come here, page 2. How do I know what value actually corresponds to, say, A5? Okay, when I have it in hard copy. So that's actually a difficulty. Maybe I might need to start counting. Okay, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now that's not actually ideal. Okay, so in Excel, you can actually set rows, okay, to repeat at the top of each page. Okay, so much so that, for example, this first row, you can see that has my test 1, test 2, test 3, and so on. I can actually say, okay, at the top of every other page, I want that test 1, test 2, and so on and so forth to repeat at the top of every other page. Okay, similarly, you can also say, okay, to the left of every other page, repeat this first column, column A, to the left of every other page. More so that when I have my work printed in hard copy, I can actually easily trace those references. Okay, and easily, okay, know what value corresponds to day 1 or what value corresponds to test 1, and so on and so forth that way. So to do that in Excel, I come to my sheet options. Okay, you can just click on, like I said, I could decide to click on any of the dialog box launchers. Okay, in the page layout tab. Okay, and then I go to the sheet, the tab that actually corresponds, that actually contains what I want to work with. Okay, so now I click on the sheet tab in the page setup dialog box, and I see the print title section. In the print title section, that's where we can actually specify what we want to actually print at the top. You can see it here, rows to repeat at top, columns to repeat at left. Okay, now let's see what happens now. So as I click this, okay, you can either click this, or if I want to see more of my work, I can click on the collapse button here. It collapses that dialog box. Okay. And I now say, okay, I want you to repeat the first row. Repeat that first row at the top of every other page. Okay. Repeat that first row at the top of every other page. You can select more rows, not just one row. So if there are other details you want to be repeated, and as well select more rows, not just one row. So you can see like so. Okay, so this our station, just one, so just the first row 1 to be repeated at the top of every other page. Okay, you can now expand it, and then come to columns to repeat at left. It's good we are actually working in repeat layout tab so that we can see what's happening in real time. Okay, so say column to repeat at left. Just collapse this. Then I come and select the first column, column A. Okay, repeat column A to the left of every other page. Okay, expand it, and I click OK. Now you see what happens. If you take a look at my work now, you can see actually I didn't actually type this first column here. Okay, but I used that function, the print titles, okay, to actually repeat this column to the left of every other page. So come in here, if I move to the next page, you can see that first column repeats to the left of every other page. So when I print it out now, I can easily trace what value corresponds to what reference easily when it's in hard copy. Okay, now if I move down, also moving down, let's just move down, scroll down. Now we can see rows that have been repeated at the top of every other page. Okay, so let's just choose zoom so that we can actually see more of our work. Okay, now scrolling down, you can see that first row only repeats at the top of this page, at the top of this page, at the top of this page. Okay, I move to other pages down. Okay, at the top of every other page, you can now see these references actually repeating at the top of every other page. Okay, so that's an interesting feature that you can actually use to help you while printing. Okay, so you must have done this, then you see how it affects your work. If you're satisfied, you can now go to print. So when you do any of these things, you have to go to print preview. I see how it affects your work, just so that you can see it now in our page layout tab, and in our page layout view. See how it affects our work. So I can as well come to print preview, and I see how it actually affects that work there. Okay, so my work actually spans 9 pages. Okay, so I can see at the top of page 1, okay, is the first page. Yes, it's actually there. But if I go page 2, okay, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. Okay, so to set those rows to repeat at the top of every other page, and columns to repeat to the left of every other page. So that's one interesting feature you can actually use to actually control your print options, okay, while printing in Excel. Okay, now another useful feature in the sheet tab gives you control over the page numbering order. Okay, page numbering order. So if I come to my sheet, okay, let's move down here first to the page order section in the sheet tab for the setup dialog box. Yeah, okay, so you can see page order down, then over, then over, then down. Now for us to actually understand what's going on, let's just switch to the page break preview so that we can actually see what's actually going on in real time. Yeah. Now, so looking at what I have here now, you can see my pages are ordered. Let's see the order in which pages appear. So you can see this is page 1. Okay, this is page 4. There's another page. Now, just going down. Okay, you can see page 2 now. Okay, page 1 is up, page 2, then page 3. Okay, coming back here, page 4, page 5, page 6, right? 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so if I go to my shade options, you can see the order there is down and over. So what that is just saying, in essence, is in ordering our pages, okay, it goes down, okay, and it exhausts the pages down, now crosses over, then starts numbering that way. Okay, so we can see what's happening here. Just move this a little bit. Okay, so like we saw here, maybe say we zoom a bit more. Okay, then there we can see what's happening. So that this will help us understand what's really going on properly. Just reduce it more. Okay, now pages are still visible here. Okay, then I click on launch my page setup dialog box, shift tab. Okay, now you can see down then over. So page 1 was up, page 2, page 3, page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, if I say over then down, I click OK, I see that the pages, order of pages has actually changed. Okay, so this time around goes page 1, 2, 3. Okay, over goes over, then down. You get it? Okay, this time around, okay, page 1, 2, 3, and it's done over. Now comes down, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. Do we get it now? So that is that. So we have down, then over, then down. Now while printing, okay, we can actually see the grid lines in Excel. Those are just imaginary. So if I want those grid lines to show, now for example, if I click on print preview, I can see that those grid lines do not actually appear. Okay, so if I want it to show when I print, I want it to show when I print, I have to come and check grid lines. Okay, so click on grid lines. Now let's see what happens. Okay, grid lines. I go to print preview now. You can see those grid lines appearing in my print preview. Another thing that we can actually do, I can decide to see, okay, print my row and column headings. Okay, that just simply means, I want my row headings and my column headings to show. Okay, so for whatever reason you want to print column headings, okay, so much so that column A, B, C, so on showing, then row 1, 2, 3 shows. For whatever reason you want that to show, you can actually see. Okay, I come and check this. Go back to my print preview. So you can see it now. Column A, B, C, okay, and then row 1, 2, 3, so on, so forth. So for whatever reason I want it to show, you can actually get that done there. Okay, so just uncheck all of this, then click OK. So that is that. Yeah, so that is that now. Other things we can actually do while working to print, okay, and actually come and actually say, okay, I want to print either in portrait, landscape, okay, then I can actually also scale. It's very important when you're trying to squeeze, or maybe expand the print area. Okay, let's say for example you have a fairly small print area to print, you just increase the zoom, scale it up so that it becomes larger, okay, while printing. So to see. Okay, then also let's just come to the margin section. So the margin section, you can actually control your margins here. Okay, control your margins. So let's say for example now, let's just click on print preview. Based on these settings, you can set up showing 0.75, bottom 0.75, left 0.84, right 0.7. Okay, if I preview my print, okay, so you can see that what I have here now, see that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is appearing. Now say I want to squeeze more into this page for whatever reason. If I look down here also, I can see that in test 1 to 8, so it actually contains within that page. Okay, working with A4, okay, remember this also affects everything. Okay, my paper size, okay, orientation. Okay, now let's say I want to print it A4, okay, based on this orientation, but I still want to squeeze in more. Okay, you see that here now I have, say, just 1 to 8, and then they want to what here to 40, whatever. Not seeing it, it's not that clear, it's quite small. Okay, now I want to squeeze in more, I can actually do that. Coming to my margins, okay, so let's see what happens. So let's say I reduce the left margin, make it 0.09. See how much of our work now fit in. Okay, just reduce the margins. Yeah. Okay. So I will make it 0. Okay, but let's see. That is. And let's preview. See what happens now. You can see now it actually contains test 1 to test 10. Okay, but as you can see, there's no space to the right or the left. Okay, so we should also be conscious of that. That's what actually does. Margins, so we set the margins to squeeze in more for our work. Okay, now if I can also decide to say, okay, I want to squeeze in more. Okay, I can actually launch the setup dialog box from the preview here. Okay, just come down here, see my page setup. Yeah, I choose that. Just go back to margins. Okay, top and bottom. Decide to say, okay, I move it down to 0. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it actually affects our print. You see now, so you can squeeze in more using that. Okay, so now you can see that it contains up to day 54, whereas initially it only contained up to day 47. Okay, so you can do that to actually squeeze in more or less. Okay. So let's just take it back. 0.7, yeah, 0.7, okay, just make everything okay. So now when I click OK, can see I want this back like this now, and this is better. Okay, now another thing we can also do, let's say for example, let's refresh the page that we can actually see. Okay, now looking at this page, see I have another page that we can see. Okay, good. Now looking at this page here, I go back to my page setup and let's look at, go back to margins, see center page. Okay. Center on page, how? Center on page horizontally. If I click OK, let's see how it actually affects the output. See now it centers artwork horizontally. Okay, like so. Okay, now see. Okay, yeah, I think this will be appropriate for what next I want to do. Now I have this also. Go back to page setup. Okay, then I can decide to say please center on page vertically. Okay, let's see how it actually affects setup. Okay, you can see that now. And then vertically, I can decide to also see center on page, both vertically and horizontally. Okay, like so. Okay, so centers everything. So that is that. These are a few things we can actually do to actually control our print options. Okay, so send the page, dialog box, page tab, page setup dialog box. After you look at the page dialog, page tab, margins, and then sheet. Now the last one is actually header and footer. Okay, now this will be discussed in a section on its own. Okay, it's going to be a lesson on its own, so you can look out for that lesson to actually see how we can actually work with headers and footers in Excel. Okay, and something else related to printing is page break preview. Let's check out for that lesson also, page break preview. So I'm going to stop here for now. Thank you. Don't forget to like, share, so that you can help our channel to grow, and also engage in the comment section and subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next lesson.